at it.
Yeah.
That's why they call it stage left and stage right. Okay, we are now back into our regular session. I apologize for the delay. We usually start a lot earlier, but our executive session ran over. Before we move on, regular work for our counselors on the consent agenda. Is there anything that you wish to be pulled out for regular discussion? Start with Counselor Zadi.
No.
Counselor Steininger.
Nothing.
Counselor Gunn.
Have nothing?
Counselor Bishop. Nope. Okay, keep the consent agenda as is. Then with that, we're gonna kick it off with the fun part here, the award presentation. I'm gonna ask James Aldridge to please step forward. I have an award for you right here.
The esteemed.
As long as it's not
Pair of handcuffs.
Get ready. Get ready and then we'll take.
Okay.
So while I'm still on camera at least, so this year we are very proud to present to Mr. Aldrich, the Plazinski Award. A well-deserved award, and I'll come down and give it to you in a second. But I have known, Mr. Aldrich, prior used to be Counselor Aldrich. I still wish he was up here, but he decided to leave us. But anyhow, since I became mayor, and every month I learned something new about his volunteer activities and what he did, nonprofits he was involved in. And amazed, this man is a gem to the community. I can't think of anyone else that mimics the Plazinskis, but a little younger than you and your wife.
Not by much.
But I'm very impressed, very proud. So with that, I would like to present to you Plazinski Award. I did not bring my glasses down, but oh, I can't even read that if I want to. I'll let you read that. Yes. You're almost laughing. Congratulations. And thank you for coming on a different day than we invited you down on.
Thank you, and again, I think the city's heading in the total right direction. And I couldn't be happier to be a member of this community, whether I'm up in the school or wherever. It's just, there's so many opportunities to be a successful member of our little community. Without everybody else, from the city staff to the counselors, it's just a great place to be. So thank you all. This is greatly appreciated.
Thank you. Congratulations. Those are always fun. All right, now we get to move on to the regular agenda. Okay, with that, our next agenda topic is the Marion County Radio Project. We have Brian Nichols, PE, is that principal engineer?
Professional engineer.
Professional engineer, director of Marion County Public Works.
Good evening, Mayor, councilors. Let's see, yeah. That's okay, I'll say a few words that kind of talk before you jump in. I got a pretty simple presentation here for you. Let's see, about 2.5 years ago, a project landed on my lap with some money behind it. And we have been building this thing as we've been flying it. So it's a radio project for Marion County. The reason why I'm here is, this is, like I said, this has been a project where we've had to fly it while we're building it, which makes it hard to put reliable information out to a broad audience because it's developing as we're kind of making decisions and setting decisions in stone while we're designing it, while we're obtaining permits, while we're getting our frequency licensing, that kind of thing. So because it's hard to put out that blanket information that's reliable, what I've done is relied on direct communication with a couple of different stakeholder groups that I put together to help guide the project. So these are technical advisory committees. And that's the group that I've been mostly communicating with. I've been providing project updates on a pretty regular basis, about every other month or so, to one of those groups, and that's the Metcom 911 user board. And in March, it was time for me to provide an update to that board. And Commissioner Willis came with me. He made some remarks at that meeting. And he offered to come meet with city councilors. I think he's met with a couple of cities. And I had made a commitment that some of the information that we were talking about at that user, that direct user level was still in flux. And before we could put out information that cities could really rely on, I was going to need some more time. But what I committed to in that March Metcom board meeting was that I would come and reach out to city councils as soon as we had reliable information that cities could count on. And so that's really why I'm here tonight, is to make good on that commitment. So what I intend to do is give you a little bit of background on the project. It's a large project with a lot of moving parts, and the history of how we got to where we're at right now is important. So I'm going to spend a little bit of time just giving you a brief on the background and history of the development of the project. I'll also give you a status update on where we're at right now, and then some of the decisions that we're committed to that are pretty much fleshed out and that cities can start to plan on if interested in participating in that program. All right, so
Is it not on?
well, I wish I had a mouse that I could use as a pointer right there, but
We should put a laser thing on there, I think.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know where I can see
Oh,
it.
it's on the wall, but not on the TV.
To the CRT.
I'll just do my best to describe what I'm looking at. All right. So when it comes to first responder radio systems in Marion County, what we have today is basically a cooperatively built system. It was built in some part on some handshake deals and different agencies working collaboratively to put the thing together. And we've been maintaining it over time as sort of a collaborative effort. In fact, what I inherited was a system with very few written agreements. Most things were established as an understanding, hey, we'll install this and take care of it, and everybody can use that resource. And that's pretty much how the system has developed. There's really five, in the current system as it stands right now, the system that everybody relies on, there's pretty much 5 owners of the system that own chunks of the system. And then it's all tied together with a data backhaul system, which is also cooperatively owned. Different agencies own different parts of it. So Silverton Fire and Staten Fire by far own the largest in terms of area in terms of infrastructure and number of broadcast sites. So they actually own and maintain 2 VHF setups, multiple channels, and they allow other agencies to use those channels on a cooperative basis. And then Metcom 911 owns a few small sites, and they kind of fill in the gaps for fire that Silverton and State Fire don't cover. The sheriff's office has a single county-wide system that consists of just 2 channels, but it's kind of an overlay on everything else. And then, like I said, this data backhaul system ties that all together. We all ride on the same data backhaul system. So when I key up and that simulcast system broadcasts my call out, it's traveling on the same data backhaul that a state firefighter uses when they place a call, or Turner Fire, or any of the other agencies that aren't on that list. Right? And then Woodburn Police has its own let's see, what is it? NXDN, yes. It's just, and it's a proprietary system that we communicate, agencies communicate with Woodburn Fire either by turning directly to their channels or by going through dispatch. So they have a different proprietary system that's different than the others. And there's some workarounds in place to make those communications work. All right. That's kind of where what I inherited about 2.5 years ago. So there's some issues with that. I mean, it does function. It does have adequate talk capacity to carry our the voice calls that all the agencies place each and every day. However, it's very poor on interoperability. The sheriff does not have much in the way of interoperability with the other agencies, and you have to turn to the other agency's channel in order to interrupt with them. So there's just a never-ending list of responses that fire, the sheriff and Oregon State Police have responded to. You hear stories of accidents on Highway 22 where an OSP officer, a sheriff's deputy, and fire are physically on the same site. They can't connect to each other and shake hands because there's a median in the way, they're on opposite sides, but they can't talk to each other on the radio. They have to pull out a cell phone or somehow cobble together some communication. Interoperability is really, really poor with the existing setup. Now, it does have, it has adequate clock capacity, but it's limited by the fact that these are all open channels. They're conventional channels. They're not trunked. So that limits how much capacity you can eke out of those channels. We're all using older technology. Most of the agencies up there we're looking to replace our systems. It's time for a system replacement. So this effort comes along at the right time. And probably I think interoperability is probably the biggest driver here. But second on that list is the fact that our existing systems, they're open channel, they are jammable. We do have a problem with people jamming these radio frequencies during emergencies just to make life fun for people. Bottom line, the systems we have in place right now, they don't meet Department of Homeland Security standards for officer safety, right, on the law enforcement side. So those are our issues that we're dealing with. So about 2.5 years, about $9 million fell from the sky in the form of ARPA funds, and we were off. We knew that there was an issue, problem to be solved, and all the other agencies, all the other areas, I'd say regions around us, they've all migrated towards unified radio systems where everybody interrupts on the same system. And so that's kind of a default approach to take. Now, this project is dynamic enough that even this slide, since I sent it to Sean about 5 days ago, even a detail here has changed. So, but the project is still moving on. It's not a over insurmountable change, but just to give you an idea of how things progress. So the changes in that first item. What we have proposed is a 7-channel P25 compliant countywide radio system, having the call capacity to serve all of the first responder agencies in the county. Until about 2 days ago, we're gonna reconfigure the system. It was we're planning to use 700 megahertz as our operating frequency. We were planning on having 4 trunk channels and 3 conventional channels. There is conflict with the availability of frequencies in the 700 megahertz range to double up that many frequencies. So it's very likely that we're going to switch this to 5 trunked channels without the ability to put in conventional channels. It'll have very similar talking capacity. It'll meet our needs. It'll change the cost of the project a little bit. With this new site, we will be using 13 transmit and receive radio sites. I have a map I'll show you in just a minute. And like I said, this will have the capacity to serve all first responders in Marion County. Now, you'll see the 5 agencies up there that currently own radio systems. We are upgrading existing radio sites to preserve those legacy systems. I think they're all entirely VHF, but our new system will not supplant. They won't push that equipment off the towers or out of the radio rooms. They will remain in place. So the legacy systems will remain in place for those owner operators that want to continue to use them until they've kind of run out their life of the equipment. All right. With that, we will be building a new digital IP data backhaul system. That's the data network that ties all of those radio sites together into one cohesive operating system. We've also proposed to replace Metcom's existing dispatch console system. What they have is reportedly P25 capable, but it has not been converted to P25. So we said we made Metcom an offer. We can either come in and replace your system entirely with a dispatch console system that's fully integrated with the design of the new radio system, or or we can work together to upgrade your system. You can work with your system, your console, dispatch console system provider, and they can upgrade you and will assist with the cost. And the decision was made to let's start with a fresh start. Let's get a new console system that is fully integrated with the radio system design. All right. The system will be using Tate TV 9900 mobile and portable radios. Mobiles are the radios that are in your car. Portables are the ones you wear on your hip or on your vest. We will be, in order to support all of this, we will have to make improvements at 17 different communication sites around the county. We'll actually be building 3 new greenfield sites where none exist today to fill in coverage gaps that exist with our existing radio systems. And then, we'll also be installing direct DC power systems in each of those sites. So in this scope of work that we're proposing to do, we'll be making site improvements. We won't be pushing out any of the legacy systems, but those site improvements will be there to benefit all of the users, both users on the new system as well as those legacy systems. All right, so I'm gonna take a break, see if that brings up any questions for you that I can answer before we move on.
I was just wondering why it's 700 megahertz and not 800 like Hawkins County uses.
It's frequency availability. We actually, as part of that, switching this to 5 trunk system, 5 trunk channels, we will be using a couple of 800 frequencies, and that's mostly for East County coverage. All of our sites in East County are high elevation sites, so 800 meg has less interference with the 800 frequencies around us compared to 700. So we will be using 700, but functionally speaking, it's still the radios, the band that the radio system operates is a 7,800 system, so it'll all be within the design of the standard system.
We have a question back here, Chief Greasy.
If I may, real quick, regarding the 5 trunk proposed system, is that, do you think that'll be enough, or will there be potential for the ability to increase the trunk system if need be?
Yeah.
And how are you gauging that?
Well, Tate is our vendor, and so we've given them a projection of our initial, like the maximum number of users that we worked early on a couple of years ago to get some preliminary numbers, and since then we've refined those numbers. And the numbers I'm talking about are the number of mobile and portable radios that each agency says that they need. Tate is telling us that the 5 channels is enough coming out of the gate, and it should be enough for about the first 5 years of operation. However, the system that we're designing, it's actually being designed as a 7-channel system, so that expandability is already built in. So the combiners will be designed with 7 channels. So at that point, to add those channels, it's a matter of obtaining frequencies, and then to add a channel to the system is about, in today's cost, it's about $380,000 to install a channel, because all the other infrastructures are there. So,
Thank you. And if I may, just one other question regarding radios that you mentioned with respect to the portables. I know a while back we had talked about you were going to be providing all of the users or subscribers a single band. There's single band, I think, there's dual band, tri-band, or something like that.
Yep.
Is that changed at all? Or, because I know the sheriff's office purchased tri-band, I think it was.
yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
But
Yes, thanks, Chief. Let's see, the TV 9900s, we were, during negotiations for the vendor contract, they had proposed TV 9800s, which are single band radios. The 9900s are actually dual band. You can program to dual band. However, the more bands, you have to buy the rights to upgrade the radios. So what we are planning to provide to the user agencies are TV 9900. Basically, Kate is giving us the 9900s for the same price as the 9800s. So you will have dual band capable radios, but we're proposing to program them as a single band, mostly because that's the money, that's how much money we have for the project. However, there's nothing to say that an agency couldn't, if they needed another band. And those other bands they can be either UHF, VHF, or just more 7800 channels. So pretty versatile, right?
So, and if I may too, real quick, I apologize, but like with a single band, then how many channels could you program into that then?
I don't have a specific answer for you, but it's in the dozens. Yeah.
Question for you then. The legacy systems maintained, the VHF. So on that list of cities that you had, Silverton, et cetera, does that mean some of those cities are electing to already maintain and continue to use their legacy system?
No, I think, where we stand right now, I actually have some follow-on, slides that help sort of color the rest of that picture, but, we're still talking at the TAC level. We're next week, we have our next technical advisory committee where, we'll be talking about we've been talking about fee structure and how do we make it, implement a fee structure, because everybody's gonna have to pay something for the service. So how do we implement a fee structure that is equitable? That agencies can afford to pay. And so we've got, so we're working on that. So some of what I'm telling you tonight is a little bit preliminary because the TAC hasn't made some final recommendations on how to structure that. And therefore, not every agency has said they're on board. But that's still,
Is that why we still see legacy systems being left in place?
well, so if I'm a fire department and I already have VHF deployed, why would I not just keep it there till it breaks? Right? I mean, it doesn't cost those are very inexpensive systems to operate. So, yeah, if I own a VHF system and, the new system isn't going to push me out, it's gonna accommodate my existing system, I would keep it. I'd keep it as a fallback, as another communications method, or maybe all my pagers are VHF, and so I want those VHF channels so I continue to use my existing paging system. So there's lots of reasons why somebody might keep an existing VHF system.
Do you have another question, Chief Priest?
Yeah, I'm sorry, one more, or a couple more if I may. Will the system itself connect to, like, for example, CCOM and WVCC?
Yes, so we will, we're gonna be using the existing interconnect between WVCC and Metcom, so that communication channel will remain. But the sheriff is dispatched by WVCC, not Metcom. So our system will have a direct interface to WVCC, and we'll be installing the new dispatch console system for Metcom, so it'll be fully integrated there. Now, I think we're gonna be using the interconnect that exists between WVCC and CCOM. So I don't know, that part of the design is still coming together, that, right now we've been focusing on the coverage and getting the system to work, and then the interop, for those other piece apps will come in the next few months, so, yeah. This will be, and we also have, the Oregon State Police, or the ODOT system. We already have, the details put together for the interconnect there as well.
Okay, and then, last question I had was, are you able to bring in the conventional channels, later on, or will that not be an option if we had?
Yeah, I'm not sure that it makes sense. The conventional channels, let's address that later, because there's a cost element there that I want to kind of talk about in one piece, right, to avoid confusion, so. Any other questions?
No, not yet.
Thank you. I know each other.
Way back.
All right, so I just want to give you a picture of those, the 13 broadcast and receive radio sites that we are developing. Some of these are existing. Eastview Lane is an existing radio site owned by City of Staten. Silver Falls is on Silver Falls State Park, and that's owned by Oregon State Parks. Crosby is one that Marion County owns and maintains. And there's some others like the site that you see, APW, that is a brand new greenfield site. If, every first responder knows that when they head up, North Fork Road on the Little North Fork Santiam River, you do not have coverage. And you may, encounter people having a really good summer time up there, right? APW fills all that in beautifully. So there have been some really significant, coverage gaps in all of our existing systems. We're putting in, sites like APW, and Crooked Finger is another one. Try to get any coverage of Abaquah, of the Abaquah Canyon, there is none. This will provide that coverage. So I'm kind of flashing this up there just to show what we're doing is we're ringing the county with a few interior county sites, to provide a coverage that none of the existing system operators have ever really had before. Doesn't cover, we have some challenging terrain, doesn't cover every square inch of the county. But those persistent, black holes that, most of the fire and police departments have complained about, they're resolved with this layout. All right. Okay, I'm gonna give you a little introduction to the path that we've been on, because it kind of colors why we're at where we're at right now, and why, we are about a year away from completing deployment of this thing, and you're just now hearing some real numbers out of us. So, in February 2022, that's when, ARPA fell out of the sky and landed in our lap. Now usually, we know when that kind of funding is heading our way. We have a few months heads up. So I'd already had a technical advisory committee, sort of organized. Once we knew we had the funding, we convened the TAC and started working on this, unified vision of what does a countywide system need to be. That takes a little bit of time. You'll see it took us, more than a year to develop that vision and then write the technical specs for the request for proposal to procure the system. Because if you don't get it right up front, you're gonna be fighting that the whole way. So, the TAC had a ton of input, and keep in mind, the TAC it's just a subset of the whole user group. So not everybody really had, exposure to this level of project details, but it took us a while to get through that visioning process, make sure we understood what each of the different types, fire, police, sheriff, and ambulance, some of which are public and some are private, what they needed to see in the system. We were able to issue that RFP in October of 2023, and we got lots of questions from vendors. And so it took us about 6 months to get that RFP closed and opened, but we marched right through the selection process. In June 2024, we selected Take Communications as our vendor. In August, we did a fast start contract to get them started on some initial stuff while we negotiated the rest of the contract. And then November, they were granted notice to proceed. And they have been designing the system since then. And on the list of boxes checked, I can say that in June, we finished that site selection process. So these are the sites we are designing. We're probably about 6 weeks away from issuing the bid packages for bidding for the site civil improvements at these sites. And now for the rest of the timeline. Where are we going from here? All right. So on Tate's on their schedule, they are obligated to deliver to us their detailed design for the radio system, for their not only the systems on the towers, but their systems inside of each of the radio rooms. They are responsible for the microwave backhaul system, so it's all one package. The only thing that detailed design package won't have is the final design for the dispatch console system. We begin that process, that coordinating process with Metcom in September. Right. But the schedule says that to keep them on track, we have to accept that design in October 2025, so they can receive the equipment, do the preliminary build, test it all out, and get ready for deployment. At the same time, we will have the plan is to have bid the site civil improvements for all of those sites. So putting in brand new generators for those sites that have old clunky generators or no backup generator at all. New radio rooms, 5 new towers around the county, to raise the elevation and create more space for these systems to land on. And those are the benefits that all those other radio users will have access to. They'll be there for others to use. All right, we accept, if we approve Kate's design in October, then they are obligated to begin system deployment in February. So you can see how tight these timelines are. We've already purchased the towers. They're being fabricated for early delivery. The radio shelters are buying all prefab radio shelters. They're already bought so that they can land on the site before February. And the generators and automatic transfer switches, all that stuff, all that long lead stuff has already been purchased and is either being fabricated or sitting there being purchased. All right. So we'll begin system deployment and optimization in February. And because we are going to be still in construction at some of these sites while they're deploying the radio components, the radio deployment schedule is a little bit longer than you might expect if you're familiar with radio. What is that, 8 months? Usually for a system this size, you might see 4 or 5 months for radio deployment. It's because we're going to have them start on some low elevation sites early in the year in February, and then migrate to the higher elevation sites in East County later in the summer when they become accessible. However, if we accept the system in October, the system design, and we reach our construction milestones so they can install their systems, they're obligated to begin system migration. This is migrating agencies onto the new radio system in October of next year. Have to have it completed in November because the money evaporates in December. So a lot of stuff packed into, I mean, it'll be 4 years start to finish. However, a lot of stuff packed in that timeline. All right. I'll stop there and see if there's any other questions that that elicits. All right. Let's see. All right. Now we're into the specifics. So this is what Marion County will be providing to agencies that choose to join onto the system. We'll provide the first generation radios. Like I said, we've already surveyed all the user agencies, and for most of those, we've confirmed what their current accurate numbers are for mobile and portable radios. The project will provide those to agencies at no cost. So that's part of the project cost. The mobile radios need to be installed in vehicles or firefighting apparatuses. The project will install those radios at no cost. These radios will come with both equipment warranty and installation warranties. Marion County will handle all the warranty repairs and warranty replacements for those radios and radio components. That's no cost to agencies. That's just part of the project. Marion County will also operate and maintain the radio system, the new communication system. So we will be the system operator, the system integrator. And to cover that cost, we're going to have to charge a user fee to agencies. So that's what the user fee covers. It covers the cost of operating the system. And then, we have a radio shop. We will, the plan is for us to act as that radio shop for these new systems. So, most departments, they've got some radios. Maybe they don't own the system that they're operating on, but they at least they have some radios. Well, they probably have a contract with one of our local radio service providers if something breaks, to replace it. Sometimes it's a purchase contract and they'll just swap out old equipment, broken equipment, and buy new equipment, that sort of thing. But some of those service providers also maintain installed equipment and that sort of thing. Our radio shop for this new radio system, our radio shop will serve that function. So we will always have an inventory of spare radios and refurbished radios, those kind of things. So if let's say a firefighter breaks a radio and it's, whether it's covered in warranty or not warranty, they can detail somebody down to our shop, can hand in the old radio, we'll hand them the new radio, program to go, and they're out the door, kind of thing. So that's the nuts and bolts of the service that Marion County will provide. Here comes the big unveil. This is the money slide. So, I'm gonna take it back. Number 5, Marion County will own and operate the radio system and will charge a user fee for the operation and maintenance of the system, right? So I want to point out that little equation up at the top. That is the basis of setting user fees. User fees fundamentally, it's going to be the total annual operating budget for the system. Divide that by the total number of radios operating on the system, and you have your annual user fee per radio, right? You'll notice there are some system components that I consider consumable. IP switches, they really only have a life of about 6 years. So in that, operation and maintenance, I do have some money in these numbers to maintain those short-term equipment, the equipment that has shorter life, like IP switches. But other than that kind of pretty minor stuff, it's just about covering the operating costs and getting the user fee as low as possible, so as many agencies as possible can afford the service. That's the strategy. The more folks we have operating on it, the more we have paying a reasonable user fee, the more affordable it is for everybody.
The maximum monthly fee is in combination with the maximum total annual fee. So those aren't one and the same. We would have a yearly rate at the end of the day, monthly fees for each one of those radios. And on top of that, we would also incur an annual fee on top of that. Am I reading that correctly?
Nope. Right now we have UTAP for 18 radios. 18 radios times 59.30 per month times 12 months equals $12,810.
Yeah. So they're one and the same. They're not two different fees up there.
This is all, we know this is not a money-making venture. We know money is tight everywhere. So we're doing everything that we can to make this as affordable as possible. And by and large, we're trying to build this so that the cost isn't a barrier to entry, right? There's no big, you have to cut a $30,000 check to buy your way in, something like that. We know that is a huge hurdle for rural fire district and small school.
Yeah, that was gonna be my question. There's no user join fee or anything like that?
No, but there is a caveat.
Mm.
So there's 2 important caveats to this number that I want to make sure that you're aware of. The reason why these say maximum is because, well, there's 3 caveats here. First one is, the reason why I'm using the word maximum is next Tuesday, we have our next TAC meeting, and we're going to talk about the user fee structure that I developed to come up with these numbers. There are some throttles in that model. Fundamentally, we need to try to make this as affordable as possible. And there's some variables that we can tweak in that model that provide a little bit of, a measure of equitability in how user fees are built. So that 59.30, what I'm saying is that 59.30 rate that I'm showing you here, other agencies may not get that 59.30 rate. They may get lower rates. Their maximum rate may be lower. The reason why I'm saying that these are maximum rates is because of all of those models that we're going to be considering, hopefully for final acceptance at the TAC level and recommendation to the Board of Commissioners. Of all those models, that's the highest number for coverage. So there are options of how we structure fees that decreases coverage annual costs below the number that you're seeing there. Right?
How often do these fees then go up every year? Is there some sort of an index that you're going to be working off of? Because I'm assuming they're not going to stay static.
Yeah, we're actually pretty good at keeping costs below kind of what inflation says they should be. So I haven't presented the user fee, like the draft agreement to the Board of Commissioners yet. But I don't intend to build in a set escalation every year. Because we may not, you set those because you want it to be, you always want to be underneath it, right? Well, I'm thinking we're just going to go through the annual budgeting process. And if I'm budgeting in December, we have to budget in December to be, because the way the county budget is built, we have to budget in December to be ready for June adoption. My understanding is that for most cities and fire districts, if we can give, the projections in January, that's time for you to plan, right? For your budget process.
Yeah, my concern is just the unknown unknowns, right? I guess it'd be safe to use maybe a risk-free rate or something like that to calculate out what projections could be. Administrator White does have a question though.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor, Council. So my question, Brian, it is very similar to what the mayor just asked. So, literally, we don't know year to year how much more we would have to pay. So the county can decide what that increase could be. You're not saying it's CPI. It can be whatever the county wants. And then we're at the mercy to pay that. I guess what I'm saying is, remember when Metcom came out with their new fee structure and I went, time out, we're not paying $40,000 more. I guess this really concerns me about, it might be maximum right now, but what's to keep it from going to this to $75?
Well, let's see.
And
Yeah.
you don't have to answer that now.
Well,
maybe it's down
there
the road.
is some uncertainty, but I will, I don't know if you don't mind me saying this.
Go ahead.
The board has not let me screw people over yet.
Oh, well, that's good.
I think just I think just to kind of build on kind of what Administrator White's saying is,
Yeah.
I think this is a great program. My biggest concern is
Yeah.
literally we're scraping for dollars.
Oh.
And we're at an operating deficit even as we speak, and we're trying to figure out, do we cut positions?
Yeah.
So every dollar we're scrutinized. And this doesn't include, by the way, Metcom, which would be on top of this.
Mhm.
Can I make a comment?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
We're practical.
Yeah, for the record, Kevin Cameron, Marion County Commissioner, and thank you for allowing Brian to give a presentation. I want to say, we've been looking at this for a long time in the numbers. And when he says, 59.30 maximum rate, when this was shown to us, we saw a formula that showed what our sheriff's radios are gonna be. They're a lot more than this. Public Works, the price that Public Works he had in his number was $100 a month for a Public Works radio. What we want as a board, because we represent the entire county, we want the county to be safe, and we want the county to have, especially our public safety people, to have that ability to communicate with each other. And having been through the fires and what went on in the canyon and other emergencies, I saw what happened. People couldn't talk to each other. And this project, we will do everything in our possible, and we'll be transparent about it. We're not here to make money on this project. In fact, we're committing, well, you said 9 million in ARPA money, and I think we're adding some more to that to get this thing going for the whole county. So I think that's the commitment we have. And I will also say this, Mr. Mayor, I can't predict the costs that we get hit with all the time either, right? I mean, we all get those, but we'll do everything in our possible to keep the cost down and to make sure that we can keep our fire departments in this thing and our police departments in this thing and other people that need to do it. But I just wanted to say thank you for allowing us to be here today. And you're right, it's a great concern. I have the same concerns and things.
So, yeah, I guess my only follow-up question then would be is if you plan to go live November 26th, that's roughly a year away. And any kind, you're still pretty much in procurement, almost design phase in some ways before you move into your initiation or beyond destination, pretty much execution. When do you think you're gonna have a truly your fee schedule and any what's the word I'm looking for, other costs associated with the program nailed down?
Well, we have a good staffing plan. We've already prepared a mock budget for the first 3 years of operation of this. And that includes, what our radio vendor is, as a little bit of conservatism, we've used the number that they put in their bid for, post-deployment support services. We intend to run that number. I mean, we have a pretty good staff. I mean, we've got 2 radio techs that are good. They're good. We're sending them through factory training to make sure they are fully certified on the system. We'll probably bring 1 or 2 more techs on board so we have the main strength to provide that service. But we can do that cheaper than putting it under contract. So that's one cost savings measure that we're planning on in the budget. You know, it's hard for me to say that the county can commit to a cap on how much prices might rise in the future because of uncertainty. But, and actually, you know, I'm talking forward from what the Board of Commissioners has seen mostly in this area because, you know, I kind of need to get the TAC to a recommendation and then I can bring the whole package to the Board of Commissioners, say, hey, here's what we're recommending, how we structure it. And that's when I would bring sort of a sample user fee document that has a lot of these details sort of fleshed out for you know, consent and approval. One of the tools that I plan to have is this technical advisory committee would continue on into operation. So users always have, you know, probably meet every other month kind of a thing. Users always have a voice or input on how the system is being maintained, how it's being operated. And if there's changes that need to happen to meet users' needs better. So there's that mechanism that I can commit to.
Appreciate that. And I know this was just an inform, real quick, any additional questions from council? Not right now.
I appreciate the information and stuff that you brought.
Yeah, but you're not quite finished yet, though, are you?
Well, I only have one more slide, which is, so as a user agency, what are those user agencies going to be responsible for? So the project will provide that first generation radio at deployment. Oh, you know what? There's one more caveat. I forgot. There's one more caveat. I forgot to hit on this number. All right. Remember when I said that because of FCC licensure, we are going to have to switch from this 4-trunked 3 conventional channel strategy to 5-trunked. 5-trunk will give us all the same talk capacity as this configuration does. It has a cost impact. The reason why we landed on this as a strategy is it would let us, we can fit this under the existing funding that we have available to us. Because there would be a large suite of radio users that would be operating on those conventional channels. And it saves me the money of having to buy the trunking features for those radios. Now that we're going to 5 channels, and it's a necessity because of FCC, I'm about $2.5 million short on funding to complete the project. So I want to be transparent about that. However, we started with $9 million in seed dollars. We scraped together another $2 million, and I've gotten another $7.5 million that I've aggregated from different sources. So, you know, we've got $16.5 million compiled here. That $2.5 million, I feel really good, like we're gonna solve this problem. The worst case scenario is that we deploy the 5 channels and we get an initial suite of agencies on, but some of the legacy VHF users, they may need to use their legacy systems for a year or two until we can get the final funding. The idea is buy all the radios, and now all we're doing is buying the trunking features to go into those radios so they can operate on the system. Right? So that number has a caveat, but the caveat really doesn't affect the number. And this is the annual cost of user fees, not the initial project cost. That the initial project cost is where my funding gap is at right now. That funding gap doesn't affect this annual fee. It affects the timeline on which the legacy VHF users migrate onto the system. If that makes sense. All right. Final thing is what will users be responsible for? And it's pretty simple. You know, we'll provide the initial radios. We'll even have most likely we'll have a few surplus radios on hand. We'll always maintain a stock of surplus radios, and it's possible that after the initial deployment is complete, for some period of time, maybe 6 months or a year, we might have some spare radios in reserve. We might actually, if you need another radio, add a radio to your inventory, we might be able to give you another radio. But beyond that initial deployment, if you need to increase your radio inventory, the agency would have to buy that radio. The good thing is we're talking Tate. And I mean, Kenwood is here on cost, Tate is here, Harrison, Motorola, right? We're way down on the lower end of the cost scale for radios. So that was part of the consideration we had when we selected the vendor. But the point is, Over time, as agencies need to increase their radio inventory to meet their operational needs, the users would have to buy those radios after the first deployment. We can cover warranty repairs, but non-warranty repairs. So, a deputy, just gets fed up and slams his radio on the ground. Okay, we're not gonna be able to cover that. You're gonna have to pay the repair costs to get that fixed. The purchase of custom accessories. So the radios will come with spare batteries, spare cables. We picked a hand mic that's pretty durable, but people like to customize that. We're not gonna provide earpieces because that's too customizable, but those customizable features, for instance, fire departments, they don't like the radio on the outside of their jacket because it gets knocked off and they lose it, right, when they need it most. So a lot of them have gone to slings that they sling over and the radio sits in a pouch. We're not gonna buy the pouches, and the slings. They'll buy that stuff. So any customizable features that you want that's over and above what the county is providing, agencies would need to buy those. Then, let's say you are replacing a vehicle and you're gonna take the radio, your existing radio, which is perfectly fine, you're gonna take it out of the old radio and use it to outfit the new vehicle. That outfit cost, the cost of moving that radio to the new vehicle along with all the other stuff, that would be on the user agency to make that happen. Other than that, it's pretty straightforward. They sort of try to make it as straightforward as we can. Right. So, that is it. All right, any other questions that I can?
Just one more if I may, and I just wanted to talk a little bit about consolidation. I believe there's some talks about that between the two PSAPs in our county. And if that is going to be coming, or if that is a consideration, consolidation, then has there been any thought about perhaps not spending that money towards those consoles and reallocating it or whatnot to, like, you're 2.5 million short, correct?
Mhm.
And what's it cost for a new console?
Console systems, 980,000.
And how many do you have to put in?
That's the whole system.
Oh,
Yeah, that's
so
all.
$1 million for that?
Yeah.
So anyways, is there any talk about perhaps reallocating that money, from?
You're talking about political football. Well, yeah, no, nobody's even mentioned. Nobody's touched it. Yeah, no, ESCOM hasn't come and said, no, it's not worth doing this time. No, I haven't been involved in any conversations like that, but no, maybe I need to be.
That was 10 years ago.
I think there was just.
10 years ago.
Yeah.
All right, well, to keep us on schedule, because we're way over.
Yes.
Thank you, Director.
Thank you, Brian.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner.
All right. With that, let's move on to our next topic so we can get out of here hopefully. Water work session. Oh, wait, actually, it's, first one's gonna be, before we go to the water rates, it's gonna be another agency covered the fire district. You could not attend today. We did get a letter from Chief Carmen, saw that, basically letting us know they are gonna be doing a bike rodeo on the 23rd. Up at, this park, if I'm not mistaken, basically in the same spot we usually have it. So, are there any questions on that, Mr. Chief Carmen? No. Other than that, we're gonna move on to the work session for water rates.
You guys want any radios?
They factor in the cost of radios and water rates.
There you go.
There you go. Great, okay. Good evening, Mayor, councilors. I'm Steve Donovan. I'm consultant that's doing your water and sewer rate study. We, as a group, wanted to get in front of you just as soon as we could. We don't want you to make any decisions tonight. We're not even asking for guidance or anything else tonight. This is a complete educational standpoint from me communicating with you. And I'm gonna run you through the obligatory PowerPoint presentation. And then I'm gonna give it back to the mayor for the next steps, because I think we've already kind of had some conversations about this. And let me that, so we got it. So. First, I'm gonna talk about the history and the background of utility rates. I am fortunate that I did your last rate study back in 2012, and I'm very familiar with your systems and, so it was easy to pick up on it. I think, James, were you on also?
I was, yeah. I was mayor.
You would have been here, yeah.
Oh,
I
yeah,
was mayor then.
all right, I remember your face, so,
I was weird.
yeah, so.
Beard's name.
And you've
We
been
just
out,
like moving seats around.
and you've been out of prison for how long now?
He's on a work release.
He's out of work. We're gonna get into some numbers. I'm going to, like your prior presenter, you heard, well, what's the future gonna be? The purpose of tonight is to talk not about just today, but a 5-year forecast of what we gotta do here, in my judgment. And if I'm wrong, tell me. And then we're gonna go back to questions, and I'm gonna give it back to the mayor for direction. So let's talk about the first thing is the history and background. As I said, in 2012, we did the cost of service study. And James, we did some significant rate increases back then to get the numbers. You were in trouble. You were in big trouble back then. And dug ourselves out of the ditch then. Gone too fast. Here we go. The last general rate increase was 2021. And we know that costs have gone up significantly over this time period. 21, 22, 23, we've seen significant inflation, not only in consumer prices, but even worse in construction commodity prices. As referenced in the Engineering News Records Construction Cost Index. So inflation's been eating our lunch. Water has borrowed $1.76 million. And we'll talk about that in a second. And you guys shot the lights out. You got a fantastic funding package. You should be really proud of yourselves. Problem is you gotta pay the damn loan back. Don't you hate that? Sewer is almost out of cash. I'm really concerned about sewer. Now, what's going on now? The water cash position, that's what I always look at is, where are you in cash? You've got 767,000 roughly, about 462 days of operating expenses. I like to measure your cash position in terms of how fast you're gonna burn it. And that means days of reserve. Look at sewer, you've got $117,000 of cash, 74 days of operating expenses. Walking around numbers, you should always have a minimum of 90 days of operating expenses as an operating reserve. You're below that. So what have I concluded so far before I start jumping into numbers? We got to raise water rates to pay back that loan. That's just, you signed a contract with the state to do that, and you promised to pay them back. And you also promised to put a lien on your water revenues to do that. So there's a lien on that, on your water rates now. A sewer, you just need a rate increase, period. So let's talk about water. Once again, I'm very, very pleased about the water loan you got. You borrowed $1,763,563. You've got $280,000 in principal forgiveness. Now, it's the way the Safe Drinking Water Program is administered. It comes from the federal government and is administered by the states. When it was originally created, it was a loan program that could not give grants. So what they've done at the federal level and at the state level is they've done this principal forgiveness. It's not a grant. It's just a reduction in the principal. It's a way of getting grant money to you guys who need it. So your net borrowing is $1,483,563. You got a great rate, 2.63% on a 30-year loan. I crunched the numbers, assuming that you're going to borrow everything and you're going to get full loan forgiveness. And 30-year level debt service is $72,000 a year, which you don't have now. $72,000 per year for a city the size of Hubbard is a big nut. It's a hit, but you're doing the right thing. You're investing in your water system because we all know you've got hydrostatic pressure problems in parts of the city. You've got supply problems in the part of the city, and you've got distribution problems. Let's fix them. And you're doing that. You should be commended for that. How this is gonna work, these loans work like a revolving line of credit. Have you ever built a house, any of you guys? And you take out a construction loan, and you start stepping on that construction loan, you pay interest during construction. Once the house is built, bang, it turns into a mortgage. Exactly how these work. Based on my conversations with Sean and your staff, I think that during this fiscal year 25-26, you're gonna be stepping on that loan to build stuff. And you're gonna have interest during construction of about $39,000. We haven't got that budget. That's not in the rate right now. Then, next fiscal year, it's gonna flip to that $72,000 every year for the next 30 years that I'm talking about. So we take a look at your recent trends in water system costs. And you look at the last 3 years, labor has grown at a compounded annual growth rate, that's that CAGR of about 12%. Materials and services at 17%. Transfers much less. What I think is going on there is not that you've spent that much more on water, is that you've transferred costs that would have been incurred in sewer. You put it on the backs of water because sewer was in such bad shape. So I think there's a little of that going on, but just look at the raw scale of numbers in the water fund. You haven't had a rate increase since 2021, and your hard actual costs have gone up 12% on labor, 17% on materials and services. Doesn't take a rocket scientist to know that you can't make this up in volume. You don't have a cost problem, you got a revenue problem. So here is the chart of now I'm talking about a forecast, and we put together a forecast model now because this is important to know not just what's going on now, but what the heck's going to be in the next 5 years. You'll notice the blue line, that's the total cash ending fund balance. As I pointed out in the beginning, you had 700,000, 460 days of operating. I'm actually drawing that down relative to your costs, the red line. The blue line always has to be above the red line. And just the math of it. That's the picture I want to draw here. So why am I drawing your cash down? Well, I'm drawing it down even with rate increases so that I can get level type predictable rate increases. And how I'm funding those level rate increases rather than spikes is I'm drawing down your cash. I would love to keep your cash higher because in my world, $700,000 buys you a pump station. It doesn't buy much else. You guys know how expensive this stuff is. So this is the picture that I'm drawing. Here's what I'm talking about in terms of the forecast. Bottom line, I would like you to consider 7% per year general rate increases starting on January 1st, 2026. At the end of the 5 years, we'd still have $500,000 in your fund balance, which is your war chest. And your current bill for somebody that uses about 6 units a month, 6,000 gallons of water a month, you currently pay about $35.58. The end of 5 years, it would be $49.91. Now, let's put that into perspective. Your rates are really, how do I get rid of this?
I don't know, we were trying, me and Sean were trying to get rid of it and it was not
You
working.
got an eraser or something?
No, trust me, we were.
Well, what I want to show you here is, this is cold comfort for you guys. Can you just pick it up and move it?
I tried.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
See?
That's all right.
It
It's,
was great. We were trying to do.
that's okay. There you go, there you go.
So I just had to push the right button.
As I say, cold comfort. Your water bills and your water rates are the cheapest among the peers that you see. Take a look at Aurora down the street. They've got really high rates and they've got a water system that they're on restrictions at sometimes in the summertime. So you're blessed that you've got water and you're blessed that you've got really low rates relative to your peers. Problem is, these rates got to go up. Uh-oh. Now you broke it. All right, I'm done. See ya.
Anything.
Can you just move the slides?
Yeah, you can. Yeah, I mean, I haven't changed anything. Oh, you want me to?
Push the arrow.
Oh, yeah, I should be able to just push the arrow.
Yeah, if you can push the arrow, Julie, you can run the slide for me.
There you go.
There you go. Julie, I'll just yell at you to do it.
Tell me.
All right. Here is why I have problems with sewer. And I want to start first with the chart that you see on the bottom, the line chart. Here is the chart of 5-year history of your cash position at the end of each fiscal year. You notice the slope of that line? You're heading for the Marianas here. You are at about, at the end of that fiscal year, what was it? 86,000. You took this year, you took drastic measures in your budget for this fiscal year. You cut your operating costs because when you were doing budget, it was pretty clear you're in trouble. So we think, based on what your budget is now, that you're gonna end the year with about $117,000 at the end of fiscal 25. That's estimated this year. That's not enough money to run a railroad. And sewer is an extremely expensive business to run. It's highly regulated, and you run under a permit issued by the Oregon Department of Environmental Quality. You look at your costs, once again, you've done a remarkable job of pushing costs off of sewer, but that gives me pause. That means you're not investing in the sewer system. You're deferring things that really shouldn't be deferred. And this is my biggest concern. If we get a situation where you have violations of your DEQ, called a NPDES permit, National Pollutant Discharge Elimination System permit, you would first come under fines from the DEQ for noncompliance. In the worst of situations, you would be taken over by the DEQ, and a special master would be assigned to run your sewer system and hence run your rates. That's happened once in my career where I've seen that happen, but I have seen fines. So I'm very concerned there.
One time we were paying a monthly fine to run our sewer system.
I do recall that.
At one point, we were having to pay a monthly fine.
And that's,
Cheapest.
I mean, I know you guys get paid a lot of money for doing this. I mean, you're highly compensated individuals here. But, you know, this is not how we want to run a railroad. Now, the next chart I want to show you is here the forecast. Once again, and I've done this now up to 10 years. We can't fix sewer all at once. If I were going to fix sewer at once, I'd be doubling your sewer rates, and that's just not tenable. It's not acceptable. So what I want to do is I want to drive out of the ditch here. I want to bring that blue line above the red line. Remember, the blue line always has to be above the red line. And right now, it's going to take us about 5 years, based on my forecast of reasonable rate increases, to get you back above that line where you've got a level of reserve that meets our requirements of 90 days of operating expenses. Now, this is a pill that's going to be difficult to swallow. We can't fix it quickly, but we got to fix it. And you're so small, we got to fix it now. So I'm recommending 10% increases in 26, 10% in 27, and then 5% every year thereafter to gradually get us out of that ditch. And we're going from $45.43 to $63.64 after 5 years. The real key here is we can't get off the escalator. You got to do this every year. And I would further recommend that I write a resolution to you that establishes these rate increases as set in stone going forward, where the council reviews the efficacy of them every year, but you stay on that escalator. Got it?
It's, I can understand it, but I can also tell you straight up,
It sucks.
you'll have a new council up here.
Yeah,
We can't do that. I understand where your position is, and that's where this work session has to start talking.
there we go.
We're gonna have to figure out what can we do, because having a complete split in the council from residents ticked off that they're seeing it's not the sewer rates, it's, you know, like we held off our increases on the water rates in 21 because COVID hit. People were in August. That's the justification there. And I think we got ourselves in the pickle on the sewer, because we were assuming Bear Creek was gonna be developed, hasn't been
It
developed.
hasn't been developed.
Right, so now we're in a pickle.
Yep.
And so though none of these surprise me, what is gonna be difficult is what is palatable, if I can speak to that, to our constituents without us seeing a complete flip in a board with people fed up. Because a small town, as you're right,
I hear you. I'm
it's a
completely sympathetic to your plight.
So we're gonna have to figure out a balance, and I'll let you finish, but we're gonna have to figure out. We do have to raise rates, there's no doubt on that. We need to get back into an index rate increase. We've been already sharing with the city through town halls, different events, et cetera, the graphs, so people can at least understand where it is.
Right, and I would donate myself to that process. I'll take the spirit, insert it here. I'll make the presentation at the town hall.
Nah, the buck always stops with me on that, so it's fine.
But once again, the cold comfort issue here for you guys, look at your rate now, $45.43. After 5 years of my projected increases, you'd still be less than Aurora today.
So when I look at the comp rates for sewer and water from, say, Aurora, they're neighbors, so I know what they're doing. Right?
Yep,
Very close.
Yep.
And I compare ours, is for the Aurora and water and sewer rates, are they take into account the bills that show up every other month for them? Does it take into account the service fees or any other fees they might have?
Here we go. This is the chart I want to show you.
There you go. Yeah.
Here's the candy cane that you want to look at, and this is everything that's on your utility bill: water, sewer, stormwater, street lighting, street maintenance, parks, police, and general fund. If we took off your $20 a month that you pay for public safety and for general services, you'd be at $89 a month. You'd be the lowest by far in your peers.
Now, this is a good chart. This is something I'd like to see if we can't get from you to print up, to share. But I'll also warn you, Sean, on this one, I saw it happen when we did the school bond 6 years ago, not the one that passed, the one that failed. The approach was, well, we don't pay enough in taxes, so we need to do this bond to do this. The bond failed tremendously bad.
Yeah,
Horribly bad.
I remember that.
So we avoided numbers next time we went through the bond. This is a good chart to show how we are in relative position today to other cities.
Yep.
And one of my points has been for a long time is just because we're lower than the other people are paying doesn't mean we have to.
That's the other thing they'll argue.
No question. No question.
We can still say if we can still stay the lowest and pay our bills maybe, but the sewer obviously is not gonna happen. So, maybe smaller increases over a longer period of time might be a better route to go.
Easier to consume a 5% increase a year than it is 10, but let's let you go. That's right. You're here to inform. So
Right, and you guys we got some levers we can pull, but remember, these systems tend to eat themselves alive. You've got waterized steel pipes in the ground, pushing water around the system. You've got acidic wastewater going through pipes in the ground that is got an acidity higher than vinegar going through steel pipes. What could go
sometimes
wrong?
in the basements.
What could go wrong? So these systems take constant care and feeding. And over the last 5 years, we've deferred a lot of things that we should have been doing, maintenance wise, on your existing systems.
Do we have a list of what we've deferred? Because I'm not aware of what we deferred. I do know that we put in place.
What we did is, look, there she is. We did a separate what if analysis. We said, what projects aren't we doing that we should be doing and should be funded? We punched those into the rate model, and the numbers were brutal. We were talking 30% rate increases, 45% rate increases for sewer.
That's what I'm asking.
She's got a complete inventory of the projects that we've already modeled out.
Okay, but what I'm asking, and I guess it's a request over to staff then, is can you please present to council what has been deferred? From my understanding, we've never been presented with any deferred.
Well,
What we've been asking for is increases in preventive maintenance for sewer.
right, exactly. So this model right here just reflects current service level. So there is maintenance that is done, routine maintenance. A lot of it's required because of DEQ and stuff like that. But when we're really looking at talking about long-term wear and tear, things just after 60 years start wearing out.
Which is why we told people we're
That's-
doing the upgrades in the water treatment plant.
That's not built in there. So we would have to find other funding sources to be able to take care of that. I mean, then we're relying on aging infrastructure like we have now, getting grants or other legislative funding or something else that's highly competitive across the state, and that's only gonna get worse.
And I've got a list and, she did a great job, by the way. I asked her to do so many things and she just absolutely turned it around quickly. Let me see. I won't hold you up on it now, but
That's
we've
fine.
got it and we'll get it to you. Go ahead, next slide.
Well, you were.
Oh, I got, okay.
Yeah. it was-
So that kind of does it.
Sorry, I jumped ahead on you.
We have, I wanna go back to water. I mean, once again, we're blue sky in here, and that's why I want to show you the rates. If anything, right here, you notice you've got some freeboard between the red line and the blue line here. I'm drawing down that blue balance to get you that 7% per year rate increases. We could knock that down lower and have less cash at the end. It gives me pause to do that because you're getting closer and closer to the knife edge on water.
Right, which is your 90 days, right?
Right,
Right.
right.
So what does that keep us at right there at 2031 right there? If I was to look at that delta between your ending balance and the 90 days? I mean, how many days is that?
Oh, it's a
50.
200, yeah, about 300 days.
Okay.
So you've got lots of days there. Just look at the distance.
So we maybe can mitigate some of the
We
pain
can
of
mitigate some
increasing.
water. The other problem that I want to make sure that we do is you've got that pesky loan has a loan covenant in it that says you will at all times keep 120% of that year's debt service in operating cash.
So is that added in this on top
Yeah,
of the 90 days?
no, this is already in here. I've
Okay.
already modeled for that, so.
So I
can-
guess the question was, what's the leeway, assuming that caveat has to be maintained, right? So
Right.
what, yeah, I guess, so we can work on that.
We can work on that.
Yes, but what I'm looking at there is that, okay, maybe we can mitigate some of the
We
pain.
can maybe back off a little bit of the
Yeah, the
water.
sewer one's a lot uglier. This one. isn't
Yeah,
too bad.
going the wrong way again, dummy. You know, I'm talking 7%. You could possibly back that down a point or two to bring it down to 5%. So we, instead of $49.91 at the end, it'd probably be about $47 at the end. We slope that down a little bit, but I don't have any grace on sewer. And I hear what you're saying, Mayor, but and I've seen this just so many times, what's gonna happen here is, remember, you've got a sewer operating fund and a sewer construction fund. You've got about $1 million and something in the construction fund. What's gonna happen if you don't raise your rates on sewer? By as early as this fiscal year, you won't have cash in the sewer fund. So what you're gonna say to each other is, we're gonna do a supplemental budget. We're gonna move cash from the sewer construction fund to the sewer operating fund. Any of you guys have a 401k or a retirement plan? It would be the equivalent of you taking money out of your 401k to pay your grocery bill. Is what you would be doing by transferring cash from the construction fund to the operating fund to pay operating expenses. That's how important my judgment is on this for sewer. If they take anything away from me today is we gotta get going on sewer and we gotta do it now.
So question on your model. We are doing upgrades now. Hopefully we can get them through, all of them, for the wastewater treatment plant.
Right.
The efficiencies and gains that we get from that improvement, that upgrade, is that baked into your model?
From a financial standpoint, all of your costs that are generating the rate are operating costs.
Right, but right now, we have a lot of operating costs that are just a lot of manual labor.
And you're still gonna continue to have that labor, and you're still gonna, think about it, these utilities are labor intensive industry.
They are. What I'm looking at is
Are-
with the future
With capital
system.
costs, are you gonna be able to lower your operating costs?
That's what I'm looking for.
Never happen.
Okay, so
Never.
why even bother doing the automation?
Well, because you have to meet your permit requirements on the wastewater treatment. If you don't do the upgrades, you won't meet your effluent quality of 30, 30, 2020. What are you?
It switches mid-year.
Well, you've got it split. So I'm talking geek, but bottom line is, you're gonna have to do these improvements at the wastewater treatment plant to stay in compliance with water quality
Well, that's why we
regulations.
have to do it anyhow. But
Period. You're gonna have to do it anyway.
part of it though is the hope that we can also get more efficiency out of it, right? Right now, we've got an old system
Yeah.
that is literally held together with duct tape.
It is, and it has been for a long time, and you've got, thank goodness, you've got that surcharge on there for the, what do they call the water?
Basically, it's temperature.
Temperature control, yeah, so you've got that surcharge in there now, and we implemented that back in 2012, if you recall, so. That's continuing to do, that's baked into these rates. We just, once again, I'm not gonna belabor this, you don't have a cost problem. You guys are very frugal, you work with nothing forever. You got a revenue problem.
Yeah.
You gotta fix your revenue. So I'm gonna give it back to you, Mayor, I'm done belaboring this.
No, I appreciate your time. and
What,
your
what,
candor.
what do you wanna do?
Well, A, we need to get this communicated out. So I've talked with Administrator Wade on the next steps. We have a town hall coming up here. Actually, this time down at a pub, so hopefully we'll get more than 2 people. But we need to start communicating it out and get some of these charts in there as well. So I need the rate increase charts. for-
I can help with that,
Okay.
and if you want, I'd be glad to be there.
Yeah, the biggest thing is we need to educate.
Yeah.
I think the plan is in September, we go through an education campaign, the town hall, et cetera. October, we come back, I think it's in October, if I'm not mistaken, where we come back, I think review a more in-depth plan, and then approve it in October and November on what we want to go forward with. Is it November or October, Sean? I forget.
So we were gonna do another work session in September, followed by the town hall, September 17th, I
Yep.
believe. And then October, a final decision and vote.
So we can see what we can tweak, what we can do based off of what we're hearing also from the town hall. Obviously, we've got to do something. We get that. We got to raise the rates. But at the same time, we have to figure out how do we do it in a way that also doesn't absolutely decimate half the city that's on fixed incomes. They've seen their power rates go up 15%, another 2% soon. I mean, you know, the rate increases everywhere.
Yeah.
So all they know, and, you know, of course, on top of that, we had a gas tax that failed. I'm sure there's gonna be perceptions out there, oh, they're raising rates now to punish us, and we need to avoid that. That's not the case at all. So that's where the education comes in.
Well, and in terms of your property tax, I mean, your permanent rate doesn't even cover your cost of public safety, so there's
That's why we have a
no,
safety fee.
there's no support that we would think of coming from any other sources than rates. There's no grants, there's no general fund support. The monkey is on our backs, guys. You get it. I mean, I see his eyes going up and down. You saw the charts. I'm with you, support you. I think we can move water down a little bit. I don't like it. I'm very concerned about it. But we gotta get on, so I'm thinking maybe 5% per year on water. And we go 7% on sewer. These are
It's
sewer
a lot
rates.
easier than 10.
Can
It's,
we go back to the sewer chart?
it's scary.
I figured this would be a lot easier for you guys to look at these charts and go, what do you wanna be when you grow up?
Want to be a big town.
Yeah.
No,
So I get where this is not great news, right? But I also think about what happened at the wastewater treatment plants on the 18th. And luckily it was a belt and bearing, but if it was something,
Well, I thought you had a fire up there.
let's not talk about that. So luckily, that's all it was. If it was something more significant, we literally do not have any reserve to be able to fix the major repair.
Mm.
It would be, and then there are certain rules. So like if we borrowed from the sewer construction fund, then that's an interfund loan, and under technically accounting rules and budget law, we have to have the means to be able to pay that back
Pay it
in the
back.
next.
Yeah.
Next fiscal year, or it turns into like a long-term loan interest bearing, so it kind of, it's like a
Just
payday
like
loan,
yeah.
yeah. So that's something
Yeah,
that I.
there's no
think
argument
about.
on that, I think. I think what my caution is, how do we approach it?
Mhm,
How do we do something that is acceptable by the community?
mhm.
That's what we have to balance. I do know we've got to figure it out and we've got to increase the rates. I have no disagreement on that. My concern is what can be afforded. And that's what we have to figure out. And I know operation costs are harsh. I know everything is harsh. And maybe when we go into next fiscal year, we've got to figure out how to maybe do some different buckets in some different areas. Maybe, I don't know, we'll have to figure things out like that. Maybe we have to appropriate more to a sewer fund out of our property taxes are coming in and decrease parks. I don't know, we'll have to figure something out there as well. But yeah, 7% increase is a lot easier for someone to take than a 10%.
Tell you what, let me rerun the models and I'll rebalance everything and I'll get back to Sean. And she can get those over to you by the end of this week.
That'd be one.
Um,
Yeah, and I'm not trying to be a naysayer or, I've had the same discussions with Sean and I think.
Oh, Mayor, I could take you in a fair fight.
I used to be a wrestler, we'll see.
So what I'll do is I'll rerun these. We're gonna have to take a stand and then defend it. It's really
Yes,
simple.
that's just it. I want to make sure though that we're defending on.
I'm gonna run water down to 5% and I'm gonna run sewer to 7%. And I'm gonna run those charts back to you guys. And we're gonna have to just take a stand. That's all there is to it. And yeah, we should be doing better. We should get that blue line up faster. But the reality is, you know, we can't make Rome in a day.
No, well, these charts also show why we need growth. Something that,
Oh,
again, is something within the
well,
city that's contentious.
And that's measure 5. It told you that either you grow or you die.
Exactly. And if we need to develop Bear Creek, we know that. We were hoping on that to be developed already.
Could you call the Federal Reserve and get interest rates down?
Yeah, that'd be great. Cost of capital is a
Would
little
you
much.
do that for me?
Yeah, but you know, that's wishful thinking, but that is something that we as a council have parroted over and over the different town hall meetings. And that is growth is what's going to allow us to sustain what we're doing. Without growth,
No
you get
question.
choked off and you die.
But in the meantime, you still gotta pay the piper.
Yeah, well, in this case, we shot ourselves in our own foot when we stopped rate increases in 21. And it's gonna come back to bite, but at the same time, I think a lot of residents need to understand, we did stop that during the time when we knew we were in a crisis.
I think we can craft this story.
Yeah, it's just a message
Makes
that
sense. So I'll get this stuff to Sean, maybe tomorrow. I'll get back in the office, certainly by Friday. You gotta have the weekend.
Friday would be fine, that allows Sean and I time to. alter our
You
preference slides.
you guys think about it among yourselves, what you wanna be. I mean, this is gonna be your torch to carry. I mean, this, excuse the pun, this is the water that you gotta carry.
Mm.
And it'd be great to see all of you at the public meeting that you're gonna have, the town hall. You gotta have a common face to say, we as a council believe in this. Because if we get any of you guys that say, nah, this isn't what we're gonna do, Donovan's full of baloney, we don't have to do this. If any of you guys are thinking that now, tell me. Because then I won't get involved.
No, I know.
That's how vehement I am about this.
Yeah, I know inside discussions with both Counselor Zadi, Counselor Michelle, they know we've got to increase rate.
All right, I mean.
And I don't think Yonley is gonna disagree. I don't think you see us disagreeing that rates. need to
No, I
go
mean,
back up. It's just magnitude of how.
Well,
they
and
approach it.
it's infuriating that, gosh, we should have done, but, we should have done this, should have stayed on the escalator. I tell small cities all the time, slow and steady wins the race. Just doing small, regular increases will make it. And once again, this cold comfort that you got the lowest rates in the area, so what?
Yeah, exactly. That's not an argument.
So what?
No,
That ain't gonna feed the bulldog, for sure.
yeah, and look at the result of having the lowest rates. We're running out of money.
All right, guys, I'm done. Thank you. I know you got stuff on your agenda. I will get this updated forecast to you. 5% on water, 7% on
Let's
sewer.
model it that.
Let's model it that way, and then, if we can come to agreement on that, then we can start crafting the message. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, man, we're running late today. All right.
You guys
Uh,
okay?
I absolutely.
That's one more thing. These guys work their ass butts off on this, and they deserve to be heard here.
True.
Cause I was one of them, right?
No, I need to talk to him out there.
That's fine, go ahead, we're gonna do appearances of interested citizens.
Melinda,
Gone.
yeah, I mean, you gotta give it up for Melinda. She did backflips for me to get this stuff so quickly to you.
Thank you,
So,
Melinda.
Thank you.
Sean, while you step out, we're just gonna continue on with mayor and council presentations. And then we do report outs. In terms of a real quick mayor presentation, so I did attend the Aurora City Council last night. They have voted on their council to begin negotiations with our city on an IGA to support them. And they declined to move forward with, Marion County Sheriff's Office. Now, still a ways to go. We still need to have a review of what that IGA is gonna look like for this council. I think what's gonna happen here is during the presentation, Administrator Waite's gonna ask for basically permission or a resolution for her to enter into that kind of IGA discussion, so she can bring something back to us next month. Other than that, though, it went very well. I'm pretty excited that we have this potential. And as we've discussed, the potential is a full-time equivalent officer coming on board. So, and Aurora basically pays for that, allows us to cushion our police department a little bit more. We, of course, then rebrand it probably the Hubbard Donald Aurora. No one got my joke when I said we can't have the Hubbard Aurora Donald that they had as a past.
Oh, yeah.
There's so many things.
Yeah. Yes.
Other than that, the Sean, Administrator White, I said you'd probably give a lot more. I just want to give them a quick update on what was from that meeting. Other than that, we also do have a town hall coming up September 17th. This is 17th? Okay, we're gonna have it down at the Hubbard Inn right before their trivia night. Try to keep it 1 hour. I think the primary topic will be the water rates. Or the water and sewer rates. So we will be crafting messages around that. Administrator White and I have already been talking about that.
Their timeline.
On time of, it would be probably from 6 to 7.
Okay.
It would have to be 6 to 7, 7 o'clock they start trivia. The idea is to get all those people coming in for trivia, and then they're gonna learn so much about the city.
They're gonna be so
Just, I don't
excited.
drink a lot afterward.
Well, they will drink afterwards.
So my concern just in that, in of itself is, you know, are we gonna be, if more than 2 of us are there, do we have to worry about public meetings?
No.
No?
Because it's a town hall. We're not just,
We're
it's
not deliberating.
we're not deliberating, we're not making decisions.
Yeah.
You're listening.
That was my concern too, and I don't remember, it was Ashley and later, so.
Yeah, I don't remember that, but-
Fine.
At the Hop Fest, I just, every now and then when I see too many of us in, the other, I just.
Yeah, and no, that email that was sent out on game meetings, et cetera, had nothing to do with the Hop Festival or anything this body had done. We're doing actually pretty darn good. Thank you all for not replying to all the messages that go out. I'm not even sure if the thumbs up to Hall is a reply. I think that's.
So,
I'm not sure. Okay, other council, that's all I'm gonna leave that because we're late already. Counselor Zani, anything?
Nothing.
Counselor Fang?
Just want to say thanks again to everybody from the city that helped out with Hop Fest. It was a great success. We're still looking at potentially hearing numbers. But otherwise, it felt like there was a lot of people. We had steady flow throughout the day. It was a great opportunity for Hubbard to be able to the whole area. And also thank you to Public Works and the city for coming out and talking about the playground equipment. I know my daughter was super excited to see the potential and to give feedback. And when she was looking through my package, she's like, "Hey, listen, that's the one I wanted." So, I think that's probably a resounding thing that we're gonna get from all the city, and the outreach is huge.
It makes us feel like more like their park as well. That's not the city's park, but their park. Go ahead.
So, Councilor Sediger, real quick, so initial numbers that we have is around 6,500 that attended the
Nice.
Hot Fest. So I'm getting those verified. So as soon as they're verified, I'll get them sent to you.
It's really cool. You know, it was
Helps with sponsorship and vendors, so.
over
Yeah.
twice the size of the city.
Right.
Yeah, we definitely drew people in,
Yeah.
so.
It seemed like it was a lot bigger than most recent years past.
It was actually pretty equal to last year
Was it?
before, Sean, I think. we
Oh, you know, I
got-
didn't go last year, that time.
Yeah.
No, but it was still pretty packed last year as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And
Okay.
it's just, there's a lot more like small, like groups all at once. I think we had a better chance of spreading it out throughout the day. But all things considered, it was a really great event. I just wanted to say thank you to everybody from the city, police, public works, the city administration. It takes everybody to pull off something like that. And I just really appreciate everybody that chipped in. So.
And I appreciate you being there all day getting burned. I think I forgot the shed. All right,
That was good.
Counselor Young,
Nothing at this time, thank you.
Counselor Bishop.
I would just request, if you would like to come to town hall and do a similar presentation to what you did here, I think that you could probably be a little more persuasive because you live and breathe that stuff.
I'd be glad to, and I've already put out my invitation to it. I hope you accept my chance to go.
I don't want to speak for everybody, but I would personally love to have you there.
This is gonna be a team effort.
For
Yeah. And, believe it or not, we're running out of daylight here in terms of January 1st. It's right around the corner.
Well, that's why we have somewhat plans in place to try to solidify by October. Right. Yes, sir. All right, if that's it, let's move on to administrator report outs. We start with Administrator Wade.
Okay, I will make this quick.
Thank you.
Thank you. So just real quick, the audit is underway. The auditors will be on site on Tuesday to do on-site review. A resolution for the ARPA fund will be coming in September to make some adjustments. And also, one of the things that I have done is a reconciliation of all the ARPA city received ARPA funds. And in the last resolution that approved the allocation, the actual bottom line numbers didn't add up. So there's some allocation that I need council to make. And my recommendation, of course, is gonna be to the water project, but that is coming. And then also the mayor mentioned already the meeting in Aurora, and it was an interesting discussion where 4 out of the 5 counselors, well, and the mayor were saying that they didn't necessarily want police services in Aurora, but they listened to their community members, and that's what made them decide to go ahead and move forward with a contract. Our contract was lower than the sheriff's office, so they were happy to go with us. They did make a motion that we go ahead, or they go ahead and start the negotiation process of a contract. So I actually need council to make a motion and vote if they approve me to move forward with contract negotiations with Aurora for police services, in which we would be providing 40 hours a week of police services and also proceeding with the hiring of an additional officer and purchasing the, outfitting that will all be funded by Aurora. So I need a motion and a vote to give me authority to do that. The final contract, of course, or intergovernmental agreement will come back to council for review and approval. This just gives me the authority to negotiate.
I'd like to make a motion that we appoint Administrator Waite to start contract negotiations for police services for Aurora, as stated.
I second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously.
Okay, and then just a reminder, as we posted on the website, the mayor shared as well, the last movies in the park is next Friday at 8:30, Finding Nemo. Will be playing, so hopefully the weather will be good.
I think it'd be great. Last one was fantastic too, for those that missed it. Nice little turnout, perfect temperature, and that only got bit once.
Aye.
Of course, we didn't say by what, okay. Any questions then for Administrator Waite? If not, we'll move on.
Oh, just one, sorry. I sort of saw the cost breakdown for the Aurora agreement that you provided to them. Does that include a vehicle? And Remember, I saw that on there.
It does not include a vehicle, so Chief Parisi and I have had some discussion. We will still have like 2 people on duty at a time. We have 6 vehicles.
Oh,
So
okay.
at this point, I don't think it's really necessary to purchase another vehicle. If anything changes as far as staffing levels or the city gets bigger, we need to add more staff. Then at that time, we'll talk about another vehicle, but at this point, no.
Vehicles are getting pretty old too. Let's think about it. If we did those leases 5 years ago.
Yeah, so that is something that we're looking at again. I'm just trying to figure out how to fund it before I bring it to council.
Yeah, let's not talk about that. They run right now.
Yeah.
Okay, any questions or follow-up for Administrator Wade? Okay, police chief is currently out, so let's move on to Superintendent Olderwich.
Thank you, Mayor. So just a couple of additional updates from my report. Jumping down to the Ribbons Park walkway and the covered area entrance. So right now, staff is currently researching the railings that could be installed in that area. That would both serve the intent of eliminating the potential of additional drainage issues that we kind of already have in that area, just how low the actual surfacing is for the underground area versus the height of the actual park turf. And this is where the community member tricked. Yeah.
For those that did not know, we had an incident at the Fall Festival. Yeah.
And then also resolving the trip hazard. Yeah, would be
So
the benefit. to
I
that.
apologize, you're gonna do an infill in there? Is that gonna fill that in or you said you're gonna put in railings?
Yeah, we're thinking that we're potentially gonna just put in a railing along where that slope is to have people, they won't be able to step over and accidentally, trip and twist their ankle. If we start putting in concrete for the ADA ramps, there's very strict rules that we have to follow, and then it's where do we stop based on again, the kind of
Is
odd
that?
grade of the.
Yeah, is that dirt in there? I mean, where that, on the edge of the sidewalk?
It is, yes.
Yeah.
Well, no,
Right now it's
so
just
the concrete comes up and then the walkway that comes down the middle, there's like,
Yeah, but no, but I saw that,
Yeah.
I thought it was on where there was sod there or grass, or
Concrete.
that's concrete, okay. I was just thinking if you put some more dirt to fill in the hole, but I guess it's not a hole there to do that.
no, it's not.
Okay.
Yeah, I think the challenge that Public Works is facing on this one as well is trying to mitigate the cost. It's getting kind of out of hand with having to engineer a ramp and then drainage and then pooling and then flooding.
Mhm.
Put a darn rail up, no one can fall in and call it good.
Another place you might look at is on the corner, the opposite corner of where the play structure is. There's another place for the concrete, where the walkway, and there's a drop off.
Okay,
So
we'll do
I
that.
didn't look that close on what could be done, but I did notice when I was at the park today to see where we were at. I did notice another spot where the concrete just drops off to a lower elevation,
Okay,
so it's
thank
on
you.
the sidewalk.
Just another quick, so I did have, the meeting with ODOT regarding the pedestrian safety analysis, and improvements, that are scheduled for 99E. Thankfully, the project is still, continuing to move forward. They're kind of still in the design stage at about 34% of that, so, but it is moving forward, so that was very encouraging on that. On the surveying project, we did actually, since I wrote my report, the on-site surveying has been completed. So now that's back with the engineers and they're doing the evaluations and that kind of thing of the actual survey work that was done. For the Centresis, the on-site meeting is scheduled for tomorrow. I'm hopeful that we're with this new contact again. That is his main job, is to connect buyers with sellers, basically. So my hope is we'll have better luck of actually finding a buyer for whether it's to actually try to refurbish and put it into use or use it for parts. So I'll have more news on that later. And that is pretty much all I had to add to my report, unless council has questions.
No question. I'm excited to see item number 9, the park, Barnsey Park walkway upgrade or resurfacing, whatever we want to call it. Again, that was an ask that I had earlier this year, so thank you for seeing what can be done.
Yeah.
Be nice that kids or anyone can just walk without tripping, especially at night, not lit.
Yeah.
Any questions for Public Works? I'm just gonna look around for nods. Go ahead.
Let's go with a quick one, I know we're in a rush, but is it possible just to inject some foam underneath that slab to bring it up, like they do with houses?
You mean the covered sheltered slab?
Oh, is it under shelter?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
It is significant. It would cost,
Yeah,
yeah,
you're just doing that, it's gonna be a matrix, that's.
Yeah.
Thank you. Great job, buddy.
Actually, a good thought.
it's not a sinking issue. It's a,
It was just built that way.
yeah, this is poorly engineered, but we'll not worry about that now. Okay, any additional questions then? If not, we'll backtrack to Chief Parisi.
Great, sorry about that, Mayor, Council, great to see you guys tonight, thank you. Sorry to have to step out there. Yeah, our report was pretty straightforward this month. The training with Officer Yakis is going very well. He's in shadow phase and, which means he's pretty much on his own. Other than he's working with, either myself or Officer Marshall or Sergeant Anderson at the same time. We're just kind of shadowing there and whatnot, just kind of fine tuning a few different things there, but he's doing great. Our applicant, finished his psychological examination on the 12th. And then goes to medical tomorrow, and then all that should be done. You should get the results back from that. Those are the final steps, and then the applicant will be starting very shortly thereafter, and we will be fully staffed at number 6. And you know, moving forward
You're
with.
not fully staffed anymore.
Right, that's kind of a good thing, yeah, I know, exactly.
I know it's probably premature, but when we do the swearing in ceremony, we invite Donald. Are you gonna invite Aurora?
Yes.
Good thought, thank you.
Even though it's not the officer being hired for their position, it's still good to include them in.
Absolutely, you bet. Sounds great. And so, and then too, you know, for when we do hire for that 7th position, we actually have a couple certified officers that actually want to come and work here as well. So we're actually sitting in a pretty good position in terms of trying to evaluate those to see if they have the qualifications to work here and serve our communities and stuff. So that's really good and exciting. July was a great month. We had Donald Days and the Hop Festival and whatnot. So we all really enjoyed partaking in that. And we also did a lot of training last month as well. So I kind of listed a little bit of that with the SFST refresher training. That's something that we do quite frequently. In fact, if you work any of the state grants, you have to make sure you've done that at least once within every 3 years. If you're working overtime on that grant.
You guys have to get volunteers to drink.
It's surprising.
Yeah, right.
It actually kind of scares me.
Yeah. Also,
A lot of nurses.
yeah.
Because well, it's done through a state thing, and they literally get drunk.
Right.
There's a lot of nurses, they pass around the volunteer thing at the hospital.
Oh, yeah. Definitely.
It really is a thing. Not that I would do.
Yeah.
What am I volunteering at?
Sorry, didn't mean to sidetrack.
No, I love it. It's actually, it's a great segue. So, yeah, no, but that pretty much completes my report for the month. But if anybody has any questions or anything like that, happy to answer any of them.
I do have something I want to say. So as you all know, last Saturday we had a shooting here in town. The chief kept me informed through the entire weekend. I have to say, we had officers working 22 hours straight on this. The amount of support and dedication of our brand new officers to put in that much time away from their families, focusing on finding the shooter and just collecting evidence, all that stuff was very commendable and impressive for a very young force. So I just want to thank the chief for his leadership and all of the officers that helped with that.
Thank you. Yeah.
I would concur. In fact, I had a resident stop by my house literally on, I think it was Sunday. and said the same thing. They what's something, maybe it was. These blur. Either way, they literally, I was on my porch, they pulled over, stopped, got out of the car, just to come up and talk, to say, you guys, they saw what was going on, how you guys handled it, and we're very impressed.
Thank you very much. We appreciate that. It's an amazing team effort to see how everybody just comes together within our department with this can-do attitude and not just even within our department, but within our law enforcement community and partners. And it was a great collaborative effort that night as well. We had amazing support from the Woodburn Police Department, Silverton Police Department, Salem even assisted. And then since then, it's even grown as well, in working with Oregon State Police and even some of our other federal partners too.
So it goes a long ways to show as well, if something like this happens, you guys jumped on it. This isn't something that happens here because it's not gonna get ignored.
Thank you. Well said.
I just wanna agree, and I had a chance to talk to you and also one of the officers that was first on scene, and I know it's an investigation, so I don't wanna go too much into it, but just his take on how well the different resources work together and the amount to learn and the amount that we do here at Hubbard is just really cool. So I just want to say thank you again for the 20+ hours that multiple people put in. That's huge. So thank you.
You're very welcome.
Any additional questions for the chief? I do appreciate the stats that you're putting in here, not just on calls, but on, citations that are being issued, et cetera. I think Donald and must appreciate that as well. I think Aurora will appreciate it greatly. Assuming we get an IGA in place.
You bet.
Sorry, one more thing. Just,
You bet.
I think you stepped out when I was talking about HopFest, but I just want to thank you again for all the work that the police put in to the Hop Festival along with everybody else.
Our pleasure. Thank you for the opportunity.
All right, if there's any other questions or comments for chief? If not, we'll move on to consent agenda, because I kept you guys here a long time today. We're gonna go with consent agenda. A, approval of minutes, June 25, 2025 special city council meeting minutes. July 8th, 2025 city council meeting minutes. B, approval of the July 2025 check register report. C, approve the contract with Ross Recreation Equipment under the master price agreement totaling $434,757 and authorize city administrator Sharon Wake to execute contract and all associated documents. Just to mention real quick that was grant dollars, not coming out of the sewer fund. Anyone listening online? Okay, resolution number 821-2025, resolution amending the job description of the city administrator and repealing resolution number 797-2024. E, resolution 822-2025, a resolution amending the job description of administrative assistant court clerk to be the city recorder court supervisor job description and repealing resolution number 799-2024. Resolution 823-2025, a resolution amending the job description of the administrative support assistant to be an administrative support assistant utility clerk and repealing resolution number 800-2024. And G, resolution 824-2025, a resolution amending compensation ranges for non-represented employees and repealing resolution number 808-2025. I like reading every month.
Second that motion.
I made a motion. Do you make that?
I thought that was at the beginning of that. So I make a motion that we approve the consent agenda as read.
I'll
Okay.
second it.
Okay, we have a motion and we have a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, say nay. Okay. With that, any other city business?
I just wanted to say thank you to Julie and the court system that we have. I was able to talk to her the other day about just how much they reach out to help people fix stuff and get their insurance taken care of and offer ways that they can fix it versus just writing fines. And I really love the way that our court handles that. And I was able to come sit in our court one day and then just talking to Julie and Megan the other day, it was just really, really cool to see how many people we help out through that process.
It's a process that we're definitely changed over the last 10 years.
going from one of revenue generation to one of, we're trying to support the community and figure out ways to. help them.
So that's
I
what, I just
appreciate
wanted
this.
to mention that, and it's with.
Well
Thank
done.
you. Any other citizens? If not, next, Herman, I make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second the motion.
Raised on the second, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, we are adjourned. Thank you.
Okay.